Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special one-off episode here from the GTPlanet Endurance Series, or as I should now say, the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. Welcome to our franchise announcement for 2016. Tonight, we're going to run through the latest news from the series and announce which teams will be taking part in the 2016. Good evening, everyone. Here's take two then. Sorry for those little technical issues. And welcome to, for the second time, the franchise announcement for the 2016 GTPlanet Endurance Series. My name's Andrew Mather. I'll be your host, hopefully, if we don't lose the line again. And we're going to go through the 48 franchises who are going to be taking part in next year's series. We've also got some announcements along the way to get you up to speed on the latest news from the series. I'm hopefully joined by Bart here in the studio. Bart, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yeah, I can. Evening all.
Great to have you back on the program, Bart. Obviously, you were a big part of the 2015 series. How are you looking forward to 2016 at the moment?
Well, I'm super excited and also very curious to see what AJ's got in store for us.
Good stuff. So I guess we can get on with the first announcement of the evening. And if you were joining with us about 2 minutes ago, you'll probably already know this, but just to say it officially for the edited version, it's no longer going to be called the GTPlanet Endurance Series. We're going to have a name change. This will become more apparent as to why it's been done in 2016, so stay tuned for that. But we will now be calling the series the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. It'll have a new logo, subtly different to what we've got at the moment. But yeah, that's the first thing that you need to know for 2016. It's still the same series, and the championship winners from last year will still be looking towards next year to repeat their success. And there you can now see the logo nicely up on the screen there. There we go, the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. So there's the first announcement. The second announcement concerns the Le Mans class events. So this is anything that's a WEC, ELMS, IMSA, of course, Le Mans 24 Hours itself, those style of events. We've got 12 of them on the calendar at the moment. They have been put on hold for now. Further announcements are to come as to what's going on there. But do bear with us. You'll know as soon as we do what's going on there. But those events have been put on hold. The third announcement concerns Daytona. Daytona, of course, kicking off the season as it did for 2015. 3 classes running in this event. The Daytona Prototype class, the LMGT class, the GT AM class as well. So let's take the Daytona Prototypes and GTE class, the LMGT class first of all. These will be invitational events, invitational entries, I should say, with no championship points. This is just a one-off event for those classes. It'll still be a great event nonetheless. So that's the DP and the LMGT classes. They will be invitational. The GT3 AM, or as it will be known at Daytona, the GTD class, that will still count for championship points. So that's still as normal. That will count as a race towards the GTE AM Championship for 2016. So that will make for a very, very exciting start to the season for those guys. One more thing that AJ has asked me to mention to you, as we go through the 48 franchises, some teams do have multiple franchises. Teams have been given second entries as a thank you for the BOP work, which some of you will know has been going on in the background in preparations for the 2016 season. So as a thank you, they have received entries in more than one class. Everybody else, though, has got one entry for the multiple for the classes. So, Bart, what's your take on that bit of news that we've had just come in this evening from AJ?
Well, very interesting changes. It will be very interesting to find out where the direction of the series will go, but I believe that many of the good things will continue to keep on going, and of course there are a lot of interesting options available, as I'm mostly interested in what will happen to the Le Mans series events.
Good stuff. So as you guys can see, if you're watching the stream, hello to everyone watching the stream. Good to see many familiar faces returning for this one-off episode. Thank you for your contributions, not just for 2015, but going into 2016 as well. Can see lots of people in the chat there, very excited about next year's series. So on the screen at the moment, you can see the calendar as it currently stands. So we'll start with the Fun Cup race, the special one-off Fun Cup, our first Fun Cup race at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit. Great little circuit if you've got any experience of it, both on the game or watching something like BTCC over the years. Great little track. There'll be a 12-hour race around Brands Hatch to kick off the year. All teams may enter the Fun Cup events. I've just been reminded by AJ. So keep your eyes peeled for the info and entries on those. The second event of the year, of course, will be the Daytona, and the first of the 24-hour races will be the 24 Hours of Daytona, held through the 16th to the 24th of January. The 3 classes, as we've already mentioned, if you're just joining us, the DP and the LMGT classes will be invitational only, non-championship scoring events. The GTD, also known as GT3 AM, will be, as normal, a championship scoring round. Moving on, round 3 takes us to Japan and the Fuji Speedway for the Fuji GT 500Ks, GT 500 and GT 300 classes, 2 of my favourite classes from 2015. Their first appearance will be at Fuji. Then we've got 2 races round the Mount Panorama circuit, at Bathurst. First of all, the 12-hour, where we've got the GT3 Pros and TCN1s, and then the 6-hour with the TCN1 and TCN2 class. Just pausing for a moment there, Bart, I've learnt this evening about the TCN1 and TCN2 classes. The TCN2 class being the the front-wheel drive class, the TCN1 being the rear-wheel drive class. How do you think that dynamic is going to affect the racing that we're going to have in those classes this year?
Well, are they pace-wise similar, or are the rear-wheel drive cars
I've been
faster?
told the TCN2 class is the quicker of the classes, but probably trickier to drive with the front-wheel drive nature of those cars.
Ah, right. So then, yeah, that will be interesting because the rear-wheel drive may have the advantage in overall pace and tire wear. So they can probably have a steadier pace than the TCN2s. So it will be interesting to see, and it may vary also with the track. So let's say a track with long straights, the front-wheel drives will be in the advantage, and with the short and narrow tracks, the rear-wheel drives maybe.
Yeah, and I guess most people on the game may be more used to those to the rear-wheel drive cars. I know on thinking of the LMP1 cars, I think most people tend to drive or prefer to drive the rear-wheel drive or the four-wheel drive cars as opposed to certain front-wheel drive cars. So do you think that could be a factor that a lesser experienced driver who's maybe not exposed themselves to front-wheel drive cars as much may find that a bit more of a challenge?
Yeah, I think that's certainly true. There are more preferences towards rear-wheel drive and four-wheel drives, but uh, it's still a certain technique maybe for adapting to the front-wheel drive. But once you've got that down, it takes a bit of rethinking, so to say. But yeah, I believe that it will be these classes that will see probably a good amount of close racing, with the more slower street-based cars will always be closer to one another, I think, than the high-powered racing cars.
Good stuff. We'll look forward to seeing it. Going back to the calendar then, round 6 of the series will be on the Nordschleife, the combined circuit of the Nordschleife and the up-to-date Grand Prix circuit for the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, a classic on the calendar where the TCN classes that we've just discussed will be joined by the GT3 Pro class on the 13th through the 22nd of May. Moving on then to 2 events held at Silverstone, the first of them being another one of our VW Fun Cup events, the 6 hours of Silverstone. Double heading the weekend of the 10th through the 12th of June with the Silverstone 10-hour event. There you've got the TCN classes appearing once again. Then it's off to the inclement Ardennes Forest of Spa-Francorchamps for its 24-hour race, a fantastic race that we had there earlier this year. The GT3 Pro and AM classes will be battling it out for that one, before it's back to Japan, this time to Suzuka for the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka. Once again, the GT500 and GT300 cars will be taking part in that one. Then it's back to the Nordschleife and the Type 5 configuration of the Nürburgring for the 6-hour Ruhrpokalrennen. I've probably pronounced that wrong. I do apologise to any Central Europeans there. The GT3 AM and TCN2 classes will be running in that one. And finally, the last event of the year and the third of our VW Fun Cup events will be the 25 hours of Spa-Francorchamps, once again round the modern Grand Prix circuit. So there we go. That's the calendar as it stands. If you've just joined us and you didn't hear earlier, the 12 Le Mans class style events at the moment have been put on hold for now. Further announcements on those will come in due course as we probably go through Christmas and into the new year. So do keep an eye out for those further announcements. Bart, are there any particular events on there that are really whetting your appetite? Any favourites that you are looking forward to for 2016?
Well, who can ignore that extra hour of racing and it's 25 hours of Spa-Francorchamps? I mean, it will be a crazy race anyway, but I think that 25th hour will be when everything becomes a bit different. No, I mean, definitely those fun cups look like a good addition to me. I mean, the series last year has been rather serious, if you ask me, and that's a good thing because it shows that a lot of drivers and teams take this very, very seriously. But the fun cups, they, for me, give a good, a different approach, and these cars will be probably running close to each other for the whole 25 hours. So that will be crazy. Yeah, you can't go around the 24 hours of the Nürburgring. For me, that's probably the event of the year, and also the 24 hours of Spa. I love those two tracks, and definitely with the GT3 cars, should be a spectacle to watch this year.
Absolutely. I think the 24 hours of the Nürburgring early this year was definitely one of my highlights of the year as well, up in the commentary box. Such a... you just couldn't predict what was going to happen when you were watching the race. So much going on, so much action throughout the whole thing. And yeah, it'll be great to go back there. So I think we're about ready to move on to the Daytona prototypes. I'll just get confirmation of that going forward. I can see things happening on the screen in front of me. So I think here we go, guys, for the first franchise to be announced. So we're going to go through the Daytona prototypes first of all. So of course these will be running at the Daytona 24 hours on an invitational basis in their first event of the year. Do keep your comments coming in. I can see some good understeer discussion in the comments there. So the opening two franchises, the first franchise, will be the eScuderia GTMX team, so the Mexican team returning to the GTPlanet Sportscar Series for 2016. But they had good pace at times last year, maybe not the outright results that would have wanted. What do you think eScuderia could expect, or what we could expect out of eScuderia going into 2016?
Well, they have a very good track record at Daytona, so they will have the experience definitely going forward into this event. Yeah, I think they are a solid team, and especially the consistency amongst all of their drivers is probably their strong suit.
Absolutely. So moving on to the second team that will be taking part in the Daytona prototypes class, Inferno Racing, who had a bit of a revival in the second half of the season. I remember they had some issues earlier in the season, but they came on really strong in the second half of the season, taking a big step going into Daytona prototypes for 2016. How do you think they could do, Bart, going into the coming season?
Well, they are definitely in it to win it every time. So yeah, they have a strong team. Usually we see different drivers from them each time, I think. But they had a strong run in their classes, so they're definitely a contender.
Absolutely. Going back to GTMX, of course, they've been invited to have their chance to redeem their non-classification from last year. I think I can just about remember this back. It seems so long ago now, the first running of the Daytona 24 hours, because, of course, they pitted on the last lap and the pit lane had closed on them, so they didn't actually see the checkered flag, so they weren't classified, which was a real shame for them. But undoubtedly, they've got the pace that could potentially put them in the mix for a race win come January. The Daytona prototype is the LMP3 Mazda. I've been told with a bit more power and less weight, which, if you ask me, is a fantastic combination. I can't wait to see those cars out on track.
Yeah, me neither. That should be a spectacle to watch. I've raced the car at the Red Bull Ring, and I was impressed. It's a really nice car to be driving these long races in.
So moving on to the other two teams in the Daytona prototype class. The third team, a team close to my heart. I occasionally race with them, very occasionally it must be said, normally at the back. It's the team Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective. So they came in halfway through, or just about a third of the way through the season last year, and really did some good stuff in the classes they were entered into. They'll be there in the Daytona prototypes class. They've been invited for winning the LMP3 class, which they took on last year, and of course by winning the championship did very, very well in that class last year. Good to see them back. Mixing it up with these three other teams will be the Team Wise Racing, another very, very, very strong team. Bart ran in a couple of classes last year and were always very quick, and of course they are last year's overall winner from the Daytona 24 Hours.
Yeah, they have the pace, and I also must say that the driving of a few of the drivers from Team Wise Racing was very good, and always I was in the race myself in GT3 for Valerion, and I think that they were having the best traffic management. So that's being very important in the infield of Daytona, where you can really get stuck behind a slower car, so to say.
Absolutely. I remember their runs at in separate races, of course, but at Bathurst as well, which similarly, as you're going over the top of the mountain, very, very tight and twisty section. It is something that they seem to be very, very good at. The spatial awareness of their drivers, a real strong point in that team. So there you go. Those four teams in the Daytona prototype class. Just to run you through them again, these will be racing on an invitational basis, non-championship points for the Daytona 24 Hours, but for the DP honours and most likely overall honours as well, it will be e-scooter GTMX versus Inferno Racing versus Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective versus Team Wise Racing. So I think we might be having some new guests joining us in the studio very soon. And we should have Adrian Harby from the Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective joining us very soon. And Brian Blauman, also known as Future F1, joining us as well. We will move on to GTLM as we get those.
Isn't Brian
guys.
RCB, or am I just mistaken there?
That's probably me mistaken. I get these things wrong all the time. I do apologise, but we'll get those guys in very, very soon. I think we've got Brian with us. Brian, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Oh, yes, we can hear you very loud and clear. Brian, great to have you back with us. Apologies, I got your username wrong just a second ago. But yeah, you're going to be in the running for the Daytona 24 Hours in the DP class, I believe. What are your feelings going into that event next January?
I think that's going to be very good for us. It's very exciting. Last season, we were able to take part in the event in LMP2 and did pretty well considering how many issues we faced during the race. So I think we're going to come back with a bit of redemption and focus on achieving what we want, and that's to win the race. It's looking like a really, really solid field in Daytona prototype, so it should be a lot of fun. The LMP3 car should be interesting as well with a little bit different specs. So I think it'll be a really, really enjoying race for us.
Good stuff. Andrew Harby from the Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Excellent stuff. So the MWM Racers Collective stepping up a bit here from the LMP. Well, in a way, it's a piece of kit that you are familiar with, the LMP3 based machine, but a bit of an upgrade to the car for the Daytona prototypes class. How are you guys feeling looking forward to January next year?
Confident. We know the car really, really well. So it's basically get the new specs, test, and then we just know the car so well that, what can I say? We'll be going out for the win. There's no other way to put it.
Good stuff. I think I'm right in saying that you guys didn't race at Daytona last year at any point in the season. So
we didn't.
No. So is it a track that you're confident that you can get to grips with during testing?
Yes, definitely.
Good answer. Nice and short. So there you go. So the other two teams, eScuderia, GTMX, and Team Wise Racing. What do you guys think about the challenge from those two teams going forward?
Team-wise, we're strong at Le Mans, definitely, when we raced against them in GTE. I still think we can go for the win. Yeah, I've got no doubts. We can challenge for the win.
Confident stuff. Brian, eScuderia, team-wise, what are your thoughts on those guys?
Two very solid teams. Both have very talented drivers with them, and I know Scuderia ran this race last year and nearly won it. Did Team Wise race this race last year? Or
I think they did, but in a different class. I think they did too. I might be wrong there.
I'm not sure, but both teams very good, and I think it's really going to be a very interesting race again. I think all four teams here definitely going to have a shot at winning the race. I think should be a really good race, and I'm excited, and I hope everybody else is too.
Well, looking from the chat, I think they definitely are. Of course, AJ, the fountain of all knowledge, just reminding me as well that, yes, Team Wise Racing were at Daytona last year. Of course, they won the GT500 class, which was a real interesting battle between the GT500 and the P2 cars. I remember them very, very close on pace and having strength in different areas of the circuit. So do stay with me, guys. And so we're going to say goodbye, actually, to Andrew Harvey and Brian. So thanks for tuning in, guys. And
thank you for having me.
We'll no doubt speak to you very, very soon. And good luck in your preparations for Daytona.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So we're going to move on now to the LMGT class. This will be the second class running at Daytona. If you've just joined us, just a reminder again, this is the second of the invitational only classes for the Daytona 24 hours. And there we go. So the first team taking part in LMGT will be a new name for the sports car series. It's DZ Motorsport. I'll be honest, because they're new. I don't know much about them. I don't know if you do, Bart, but it's good to see new names on the series roster. And the second team is a team that I know a little bit about. Good to see Aura Racing Team returning to Daytona. They ran very, very strongly in the LMP2 class last year. I think they were running in the Pescarolo Courage C60, and good to see them back. Bart, what are your thoughts on those first two teams there that we've seen in the GT class?
If I believe in assuming correctly, then DZ Motorsport is run by Danger Zone. Right into the Danger Zone, yes. So, he's a racer that also races in WRS. Always a fast guy. And I'm sure he will attract fast guys as well. So I'm sure they will enjoy themselves in LMGT. And Aura Racing a little bit more proven, but to be honest, I did not see much of their racing, but I'm sure they will do fine with their experience.
Well, the chat is very excited about the incoming DZ Motorsports. Jordan Fisher says DZ Motorsports is going to be a scary team. So looks very, very like they've got a lot of support already, and they've not even turned a wheel in the series, so it's good to see. All Racing Team, Bart, returning for 2016. They had some good results and good pace across the season, but particularly at Daytona last year. They're stepping into the GT class. How do you think they could do going forward?
The Aura Racing Team.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't know exactly, but if you can race in P2 and what was it again, GT300?
Yep.
Yeah, then probably LMGT is right up your alley.
Good stuff. So going on to teams 3 and 4, Swift Autosports return to the Sports Car Series for another crack at Daytona Glory. Good to see them back, and the second new team to my eyes, which someone will need to help me on. The VEC Racing Team joined the GTPlanet Sportscar Series ranks as the 4th team in LMGT. Let's start with Swift Autosport. Bart, what are your thoughts for them going forward? They showed some good pace at times last year. Do you think they could step up and be a real contender in this GT class?
Yeah, they were championship contenders for a long time, if I remember correctly, in GT300. So they will do greatly, I think. And VEC Racing Team was a team that showed good promise in the TCN class. Yeah, I think so. They were always near the front of the field in their class anyway, so... yeah, it will be good to see how they adapt to the LMGT. I'm sure this group will give some good racing.
Excellent. Should say at this point, guys, because I know there'll be some people wondering, this is just announcing the franchises tonight. We will not be announcing which cars these teams will be running in the new year until a later date. Just got to wait till the balance of performance is all agreed on, and then teams will be allocated their vehicles. Just going to the chat, seeing who's getting very excited. Still, I think it's all about the Danger Zone. It's all about Danger Zone Motorsport coming into the GTPlanet. See, nearly did it. I nearly did it. I think that's going to happen a few times. We're going to have a pot for that. It's the Sports Car Series now, not the Endurance Series anymore. Apologies. So going forward, we're going to have a look at TCN1 next of all. Just going to wait for those teams to appear on my screen. So the TCN1 class is going to have 6 teams in it for 2016.
That's quite a lot.
But of course, we saw this at various times in classes last year where there'll be more teams than places in the races. So I don't know, but this could be one of those where we see teams drop out in certain events and not able to qualify. We'll concentrate on that at a later date. But the first 2 teams in the TCN1 class, so I'm just going to remind myself so I don't get this wrong. Yes, this is the rear-wheel drive only class, and the first 2 teams in it. First up, the American Racing Series group, another new name in the GTPlanet, or a new name to me, in the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. They'll be joined by a very experienced team from last year, the Dragon Razor Racing Team. So, rear-wheel drive teams for these 2 guys. Bart, start with the American Racing Series group. Have you got any bits of knowledge on them that I don't?
No, not really. I haven't seen anything of that name popping up in the forums, but I'm sure they might be some conglomerate of popular racing series on GTPlanet. Yeah, and the Dragon Razor Racing Team is of course a familiar force in the field. They had a very good race, I think, in Nürburgring. So Yeah, they will do just fine in the rear-wheel drive cars.
Good stuff. Well, this is what we want to see. This is a mix then of experienced teams returning to the series after enjoying themselves last year, and new names coming in as the series expands and develops. AJ's just told me in my ear that the Dragon Razor Racing team is under new management, and it's Sinister taking over the running of the team for 2016. So it'll be interesting to see if they can go forward with Sinister as the new team manager for them. And if there's anyone from the American Racing Series group, welcome to the series. We look forward to having you on the grid for next year. Aceboy127, the owner of that team. So moving forward to the third and fourth teams that will be taking part in the TCN1 class. Two names that, if you followed the series last year, you'll no doubt recognise. The Endurance Experience team that ran in some of the lower classes in 2015. And everybody's favourite team from down under, the Green Hell Heathens, return. Heathen Pride, I've no doubt, will be heavily involved again in the running of that team. Good to see them back, Bart. They had a real good go last year, the Green Hell Heathens. Didn't always get the greatest results, but when they could get a race together, they were a formidable force in 2015.
Yeah, definitely. I think if there are a few teams that embody the spirit of sports car racing, Green Hell Heathens is definitely one of them. Always a fan favorite. Very likable character in their team manager, the Green Hell Heathens there, and Heathen Pride. Yeah, what can I say? A definite contender with their title in GT Cup this year.
Absolutely. Going back to the chat, Demon Snake 1968, very, very excited about the prospect of the Green Hell Heathens versus Dragon Razor Racing for the whole season, with good reason as well. And Jacob as well, saying a good welcome to the American Racing Series group. Great group of guys, so happy for them. Good to see support for them in the series. So moving on in TCN1 to the 5th and 6th slots to be filled and making up the grid for TCN1. Just wait for those to come through in a moment. Do keep your comments coming in, guys. Great to see a good turnout for this special episode tonight. So the Wild Racing Limited team, in fact, it's 7. It's going to be 7 cars in this class. So going back to the number 5 spot, the Hyperion team, they are back and will be no doubt one of the big hitters in that class. The International Racing Entity, another new team to the series. Good to see more new teams entering for 2016, and then the Vile Racing Limited team making up a 7-car entry in TCN1. Let's start with Hyperion, Bart. They had some good pace last year. What do you think their championship prospects are going forward into 2016?
Yeah, a team very close to my heart, being closely related to Valerion. Yeah, they have put in a lot of hours and a lot of effort to really perfect their races, and it has always been a learning curve for them, but they've come a long way and shown good pace in various races. Not always getting the results because of some factors. They had some unlucky driver changes, but I guess that's the same for everybody. Overall, they made good progression, and I'm happy with their performances, and I'm sure they will continue that way next year.
Good stuff. So the International Racing Entity, a new team this year. Bart, do you know anything on those guys going into next year?
Not really. If I can get a sneak peek from AJ who their team manager is. Oh, right. It's Jacob, a.k.a. Vetman, I think.
Who I believe is about to join us in the commentary box.
Yeah, he is here.
Jacob, can you hear us?
Not yet in the
Not
call
quite
though.
yet. So whilst we wait for Jacob, Vile Racing Limited back for another crack in the TCN1 class. They got some good miles under their belts last year, and it's good to see them back. I think we can now speak to Jacob. Jacob, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Evening, Jacob. Welcome to the GTPlanet Sportscar Series commentary box. And so here we go then. A entry into the TCN1 class. What are your initial thoughts on that for 2016?
I'm really excited. We have a great group of guys with a tire, as we're called. We are just so excited to be part of a GTPlanet Sportscar Series as it is now. 7 cars and a TCN1. It's going to be tough, but we think that we can go and put on a good effort and hopefully come out with a win or two.
Good to hear. So, as I say, you guys are new to the series this year. How much of the series last year or this year just going did you watch, and what inspired you to go for the 2016 championship?
I watched a bunch of the major events, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, Spa, a few other rounds here and there, but honestly, the competition and putting ourselves on the map as a team that could go out and win a few races inspired us, and we were like, when we had the opportunity, we pounced on it and wanted to take this challenge on and hope for the best.
Excellent. So I do wish you guys good luck. I hope you can get some good results. AJ's just given me some information. Just a recap of the homologated cars in TCN1. We'll have the BMW 320i touring car, the Lexus CCSR, the Renault Sport Megane Trophy, and a favourite of mine, the Toyota GT86 race car. Also in the commentary box, I believe we've got Kevin as well. Kevin, can you hear us?
Yeah, loud and clearly. Good evening, guys.
Hi, Kevin. Great to have you back in the commentary box. So TCN1, what are your thoughts on TCN1 and the rear-wheel drive touring car class in 2016?
Well, it's looking to stack up as a tough bunch, I guess. I think we've got work on our hands. A lot of strong teams entering TCN1. First of all, I'm surprised we got TCN1. We did enroll for it, but yeah, being a GT4 team in the past year, to be honest, I was still waiting for the BOP for GT4 to come by. But then again, we know the guys of Dragon Razor Racing. We know they can put up a good fight. So we hope we can stack up alongside the other guys as well and drag out a win or two. Yeah, we'll have to see. Also, a couple of new racing teams in the TCN1, so we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, looking very good, very excited to compete with all these guys. So yeah, really looking forward to 2016 on that part.
Fantastic stuff. So really the headline in this class, those 3 teams that anyone who will have followed the series last year or this outgoing year, Dragon Razor, Green Hell Heathens and Hyperion.
Yeah, don't underestimate Wild Racing. We also saw a lot of them last year.
So it's especially with just off the bat, 7 teams in this class. That probably means, unless I've missed something out and miscalculated something, at every single race that this class will visit, we're going to be losing one of these teams in qualifying. How do you think that's going to factor in as the season goes on?
Yeah, it's always a shame to lose a team, especially since we saw last year that every team really puts in a lot of effort to compete. It's always a shame to see that the efforts of one team get lost. But then again, yeah, there's only limited space on the grid, so yeah, it's inevitable, I guess. But yeah, hopefully we won't be too much on the business end of that rule, so to say.
Excellent. So, Jacob, just going back to yourself entering the series for the first time this year, are there any of those TCN1 races that really, really get you excited about 2016, or is it just a general excitement for all the tracks that class are going to visit for the next year?
It's for me. It's obviously we're going to a lot of great tracks around the world. There's not one that really jumps out on me as a favorite, but obviously we are really excited and just we're just speechless at trying to. We're finally here. We finally made it, and we are ready for 2016.
Excellent. Kevin, any particular races that for you are going to be real highlights for 2016?
Yeah, of course. Looking forward to the Nürburgring race. I think we have some Nürburgring enthusiasts in our team. Yeah, so love to compete the Green Hell Heathens there. A lot of experience on that track on our side. Of course, being there myself a couple of times, so it's there will always be a special race. Of course, last year we drove the GT Cup cars. We had a race there. We've hoped to step in for one of the 24-hour outfits, but unfortunately we couldn't. But so this would be a good chance to redeem ourselves. So we'll be coming in especially prepared for that one.
Absolutely, good to hear. Just going back to, as we've already discussed, guys, the restrictions. Easier for me to say. Restrictions on the number of cars that will actually take part in the races post qualifying. So all TCN1 cars will run at the Silverstone 10 hour. 5 will run at the Bathurst 12 hour. Only 4. So we'll lose 3 teams for the Nürburgring 24 hours and then 6 for the Bathurst 6 hours. So that could really play into the championship, especially if a team, say, at the Nürburgring had a particularly poor qualifying. They could find themselves dropping out of races and potentially costing themselves championships. Obviously, we don't wish that on any team. Is there anything with that in mind that you do for qualifying that's different to, say, a more open class where you're more guaranteed a spot in the race itself?
I'm sorry, is that a question for me?
For both of you guys.
Yeah, I think the real thing is just be sure you're quick enough. That's the only thing, and that's what racing is all about. So that's the only thing teams got to do.
For us, it's a question of do we focus a lot on making the race, or do we focus on trying to win? Obviously, we all want to win, but you can't win without making the show first.
Absolutely. So there you go. Run through those TCN1 teams again. 7 teams. The American Racing Series group entering for the first time. The Dragon Razor Racing team back for another crack at victory in 2016. The Endurance Experience team, another returning team to the series. The Green Hell Heathens, I'm sure there's been a bit of support for them in the chat this evening. Hyperion, one of the big names in the series, looking to get glory in TCN1. Another one of our new teams, the Tyre, the International Racing Entity team. Good to have you guys on board. And the Vile Racing Limited team making up the 7-car field in the TCN1 class for the 2016 GTPlanet Sportscar Series. Big thanks to Kevin and Jacob for joining us for the last 20 minutes or so.
Thank you.
TCN1. I'm sure we'll hear from you guys across the next 12 months, across the season, and we'll look forward to both of your teams delivering good results in the coming year.
Okay, thank you, and I want to say goodbye to all the viewers. Hope to see you next time in the commentary booth again.
Like to say thanks to everyone. Wish to everyone in the TCN1 class the best of luck, and we'll see you all soon.
Good luck, guys.
Excellent stuff. So, Bart, a really, really great prospect there for what I think is going to be one of the classes of the year in TCN1.
Yeah, definitely one of the biggest classes. One of the classes where I think we will see a lot of close racing. We've seen a lot of close racing in GT4 last year. A few of those teams will be back, and yeah, they will run at a few of the really big events, like the 24 hours of Nürburgring. So they will get their chance to really get into the highlights of the series, I think.
Absolutely. So let's put TCN1 to the side for the moment and move on to TCN2. So there's 6 slots on my screen. So they're going to have at least 6 teams in this one. Just wait for the first couple of notes to come through. So here we go. The first 2 teams in TCN2. So this is the more high-powered but front-wheel drive touring car class, which is definitely going to test the skills of the drivers. And the first 2 teams returning to the Sports Car Series for 2016. First of all, it's the GTR Blackhawks, who I think were running a Renault Megane last year to some good results. And the Race on Oz racing team, another one of our Australian teams, are back. And it's good to see them on the grid again for 2016. Bart, what are your thoughts on those 2 guys going forward?
Well, sorry, I was a little bit distracted here, but yeah, definitely those 2 are amongst the usual suspect, I'd say. Race on Oz having a few stellar showings in LMP3. The GTR Blackhawks, always a team who have run very well in GT Cup. I remember their effort at the Nürburgring 24 hours, where they had a last-minute issue with 2 of their drivers, had the guts and the planning and went to AJ and everybody together did their absolute best to make them do well in that race. 2 guys stepped up to the plate and they had a good race after that. So yeah, one of the nicer and the good stories of 2015 for them in the 24 hours of the Nürburgring.
Good memories indeed. A lot of good memories that we had from the 2015 season, and I'm sure this class will deliver and give us more great memories going into the coming year. 2 more teams then making up this field: the Snail Racing League team and the Spinning Arrows Racing team. Pretty sure Spinning Arrows Racing is a new team name in the Sports Car Series. Is the Snail Racing League one that we've seen before, or is that something I've seen somewhere else?
I think they're new. I'm sorry to Snail if they aren't, but Snail is a very well-known racing league on GTPlanet, and they are very large in numbers. They run very large leagues and have various lobbies and divisions in which they race. And I believe a few of those Snails have been participating last year. But I'm not sure they had a team of their own. So yeah, they have a new organization there in their team. They ran as SSR Motorsports partly. Yeah, so they are a known factor then. And Spinning Arrows is returning, of course. We saw them do well in their class, I think.
So good stuff, especially the SSR Motorsports still around, so that name change that they've had, and Yeah, they'll definitely be a factor in the championship battle in TCN2. Wrapping up the TCN2 ranks, so the first team that we've seen have 2 slots, 2 franchises awarded to them for 2016. This is, of course, for helping out with the BOP and the behind-the-scenes preparations for the 2016 season. The Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective back again, and of course they've got the DP slot already for the Invitational at the 24 hours. We'll see them in TCN2 as well for the full season. And the Turtle Racing League, very well-known racing league there. Good to see them making a bigger step into the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. And some of their guys, of course, with some good experience in the second half of the season from 2015, Bart.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Turtle Racing League have had some good races. If I can't, there are none that spring to mind directly, but we've seen so many races, so many good races. You can't really know everything. Midweek Motorsports, of course, if they feel their top drivers also in TCN2, they will be a force in this class. Of course, they have the experience with also on the team side, and their strategies have always been good. So yeah, there you go for TCN2.
Such a wide, knowing from the bit of racing I've done with them, they do such a wide range of different vehicles and racing with them in internally with their own club, the Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective. So TCN2, a bit different to what they've done before, very different to the LMP3 card, which they ran so well with last year. But I'd really expect them to put a good team together and be a factor in TCN2. I do hope, as things are moving around on my Skype screen in front of me, that we're going to be able to introduce Jordan Fisher and introduce back into the studio the captain from Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective, Andrew Harvey. First of all, let's start with Jordan. Jordan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I gotcha.
Good evening, Jordan. Great to have you in the studio. So TCN2 then, what are your thoughts on that lineup, that 6-car lineup for 2016?
It's definitely very interesting. I mean, it looks somewhat similar to last year as we took part in the GT4 class. So, yeah, we are very excited about that. I mean, we see a lot of familiar teams. So, yeah, we're very excited.
Of course, just 2 eligible cars in this class, the Honda Integra Type R DC5 and the Volkswagen Scirocco GT24. It's going to be very, very close in this series. So how do you think that's going to affect maybe the strategy that you guys employ over the longer races?
I think it's just going to matter, like just you said, right into like pit strategy and stance, when to get off the track and when to go back in, and matter of being consistent on track and limiting your mistakes. And that's what it comes down to when you have a longer races.
Good stuff. Andrew Harvey, welcome back to the studio. Second time we've spoken to you this evening. TCN2 then. Front-wheel drive cars, bit of a different prospect to most of the cars that we see here in the Sports Car Series. Have you got the guys who can handle the understeery nature of those cars?
I'm sure we do, yes, of course. We drive all sorts of stuff, as you said, so I think we can definitely work out a nice setup for whichever car we get.
And it's a question we've asked several guys already tonight, starting with you, Jordan. The races that we'll see TCN2 at this season, are there any particular ones that are going to be highlights for you and that you're really looking forward to?
Well, as you know, we have a large group of guys on our team because we've been racing since pretty much 2014, but really went out last year, and we're really excited, especially maybe for the NERB 24-hour. I mean, we got a lot of guys who are really interested in that, but honestly, as we go from track to track, I mean, we're going to be prepared for it, and we just want to give it all we got. So, yeah.
Andrew, how about yourself? Any races that you're really looking forward to that maybe you've not done before?
NERB 24 will be good. I think with the large Australian percentage of the MWM Racers collective team, I think Bathurst, particularly the 12 hours well, will be a good welcome challenge for us. But yeah, it would just be a case of taking the car and again doing our great strategies and working out the best way to do it. And I'm sure we've got the people to do everything.
Obviously,
business as normal, really.
Obviously, we're not announcing which cars each team are getting for next year tonight. Yeah. But if you had to pick Honda versus Volkswagen, which would you take?
I'd choose the Honda.
Any reason why?
It's the car I just prefer the most. I just find it a bit nicer. Plus, it'll look good in our blue as well.
Good stuff. Jordan, do you have a preference between the Scirocco and the Integra as to which one you'd like your team to be in for next year?
I would probably take the Honda. I'd take the Honda.
Okay, that's 2 votes for the Honda. Just going to run through the number of cars that we will see in at each event that the TCN2 class will be present at this year. You'll all be very happy to hear that all 6 cars will make the race for the Bathurst round. 3 will make the Nürburgring 24 hours, and it'll be 5 at the Silverstone 10 hour and the VLN 6 hour. So I think that pretty much wraps up the TCN classes. And thank you very much to Jordan and Andrew for joining us for a little insight into TCN2 going forward. Good luck to both of your teams in the coming 12 months.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you.
Fantastic. Hello to everyone in the chat. Can still see that plenty of you are discussing the series and the teams being announced. Thank you for your continued support of the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. You're watching a special announcement of the franchises that will be taking part in the 2016 series. Andrew Mather and Bart in the studio with you, Bart Janssen in the studio. Do keep your questions and comments coming in. We're going to move on to GT3 Pro, one of the highlights for me last year in 2015. Starting off with 3 teams that are big names in a series. ABC Racing return to the Sports Car Series with their team looking to get a good set of trophies in GT3 Pro for the coming year. Avaleron Racing, very, very strong in GT3 last year, running the Audi R8, if I remember correctly. Bart, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. And Bitter Rivals Racing back after their season in the Mercedes SLS AMG. Bart, off the bat, 3 very, very strong teams there.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. These are the usual suspects in GT3. If I can assume that ABC is morphed from Venator Racing, probably. So yeah, they are a known quantity in GT3, and now the GT3 Pro class, and we have a GT3 AM class now as well. So. Yeah, ABC Racing will do a great job. Avaleron Racing, my own team that I manage. Yeah, we're always trying to do our best, optimizing strategy, optimizing our team, going for podiums too, at the least. And Bitter Rivals Racing, a team that have a really good dynamic. I think they have run with the same drivers for since I know them, and that means that they have a good understanding of everybody in their team, which is good.
And they just seem to be getting quicker and quicker and quicker. I remember that across the course of last year, that they really developed well across the year. Moving on then to the 4th and 5th entries in GT3 Pro. Another returning team to this class, having done some great racing last year. Reaper Online Racing back on board for another crack at GTPlanet Sportscar Series glory. And here's really, for me, one of the big stories going into 2016. Team Redline GT officially on board, and it's been rumoured in the background. Of course, we saw some of their guys racing and making special appearances for other teams to get their ratings, their classifications as drivers up so that they could take part in one of the big classes in 2016. They've got GT3 Pro, Bart. How well do you think Team Redline could do?
Well, if they field the right drivers, no. I mean, Team Redline, they have quick drivers, so they're instant favorites, I think, in this class. That's not to say that they have definitely the best team. Sports car racing is not all about the quickest drivers. You can have misfortunes, strategy, setup. It all comes into play. But if you are discounting Team Redline, then that's not a good thing. then you're probably not prepared. So we're definitely not doing that. They are right up there with everybody in this class.
Couldn't agree more. It's great to see them in the Sports Car Series, and if there's any Team Redline supporters in the chat, welcome. It's great to see your name on the board. Wrapping up GT3 Pro then, the 6th and 7th teams that will be taking part in this class. Team-wise Racing, we've already mentioned them in the Daytona Prototypes class, and very, very strong in GT machinery, and they'll be one of the fast teams, I reckon, in that Pro class. In fact, all of these teams, with it being a Pro class, will be very, very fast indeed. Top Notch Racing, good to see them making up the 7-car field. Starting with team-wise, Bart, and as I say, we've seen them in GT500 machinery last year at Daytona and various other things as well, running the Lexus. What do you think their goal will be for the season, with having, as we've already discussed, a very, very strong GT3 Pro lineup?
Yeah, between these teams, they are relatively new, but we know their pedigree from Le Mans, from the Daytona race. So yeah, they are experienced. They know how to win a 24 race. They will probably adapt very quickly to their GT3 machinery, and will at least fight for every position. It's difficult to see how they stack up, but I think it's more in terms of how the teams prepare for each race, but because they have all got the talent and the knowledge to do very well in this class.
Good stuff. So we've got another one of our guests coming into the studio now, and Chris Pfeffer from TNR is just about to connect. Hopefully we'll be able to hear from him in a second. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. How are you guys?
I'm very good. I'm very good, Chris. So 2016 GT3 Pro, looking at that lineup, what are your initial thoughts?
It's going to be a lot of great battles. I mean, look at the teams you have in there. ABC Racing, Avalarion, Reaper, TRL. Those are some heavy hitters in there.
So obviously we're not announcing which cars each team will be running in tonight. You guys ran in the Nissan last year. How did you find that? Would you like to stay with the Nissan if you could, or is there a particular other bit of machinery that you'd really like to have a go in for 2016?
We definitely don't want to stay with the Nissan. It's a very challenging car. It causes a lot of stress. We would like the Z4, the R8.
And Bart, to put that question to yourself as well, you guys ran the R8 last year. It's a pretty well. What's the word I'm looking for? A lot of teams wanting that car. Is that one that you'd also be wanting to run with for next year, or do you fancy a change?
Well, the R8 was a favorite among our drivers, favorite among myself. It's a nice car once you get it dialed in. It can be tricky to extract the most out of, but overall, I loved every minute of driving in it this year, which have been a lot. But I wouldn't mind changing to the Z4 or the SLS. But the R8 still remains my favorite.
Excellent. AJ's just typing at the moment. Here we go then for the GT3 cars that we will see in the class for 2016. Starting off with the Audi RS R8 LMS. Apologies. Then the Audi R8 LMS Ultra Spec. Two BMWs follow up, the BMW M6 GT3 Division GT version and the BMW Z4 GT3. The Chevy Corvette C6R is in there as well, and another big battle. This will be an interesting battle between the American marquees. The Ford GT LM Spec 2 makes up part of that field as well. Before the final two cars, the Mercedes-Benz SLS AMG GT3 and the well-loved Casboats, the Nissan GTR Nismo GT3. So a good mix there. Good to see the M6 coming in as well. So putting the GTR to its side, because I think you guys have already mentioned you wouldn't want that car. Are there any others that you're a bit unsure of going into next year's series?
Maybe the Vision GT, seeing it has some I believe some tunings limited on it.
Yeah, I agree with Chris here. The Vision GT is probably the biggest unknown for everybody. Yeah, I'm not quite familiar with how the tuning works on that one, but I'm sure it will work in this class.
Just to clear things up as well, I know there's some questions about LMGT and the cars in that one. Apologies, AJ did give me the note earlier, I just forgot to read it out. GTLM cars will be the BMW M3 E92 GT2, the BMW Z4 GTE, the Chevy Corvette C6R to a different tune, and the Ford GT LM Spec 2 also to a different tune. So this is probably one of the least obvious questions of the night, guys, because we saw so much great racing wherever we went for GT3 last year. To put you on the spot, which race is going to be the best for GT3 racing in 2016? Which is the one that you think is going to be top draw?
For me, it's Spa, probably, in terms of close racing.
Chris, how about yourself? Bathurst, Nürburgring, Spa, which one's going to produce the best race? Oh, not sure if we've lost Chris or not. Apologies if we have. Just to run you through the number of cars that will make the final grid for those events, we'll see the full 7 car field for GT3 Pro take part at Bathurst, 5 at the Nürburgring 24 Hours, and 6 at Spa. Apologies, we have lost Chris. We've lost the connection. He's lagged out. So there we go. The first lag out disconnection of the 2016 series. He's right here on the Skype. Excellent stuff. So yeah, Spa. I think I'd agree with you there, Bart. The some of the racing, not just in GT3, and remember the P2 battle that we had in Spa last year was the P1 battle, because I remember the bomb in the Peugeot and people like Chris 93. There's just something about Spa in this series that produces the best racing. So I think that's a good bet for Spa producing one of the highlights of the season again.
Yeah, it has been for a while now. If you ask me, then the top races that I've been in myself or has been spectating on were Spa in 2014 and 2015.
Yep, sounds like Chris is continuing to have issues. If you can still hear us on the stream, thanks for joining us, Chris. Great to have your input, and good luck to the TNR team and all the other 6 teams making up the 7 teams in GT3 Pro. Just to run you through those again: ABC Racing, Avaleron Racing, Bitter Rivals Racing, Reaper Online Racing, Team Redline GT, Team Wise Racing, and Top Notch Racing will compete for the honours in GT3 Pro. So with Pro done, let's move on to GT3 AM. And the first 2 teams that will be taking part in the GT3 AM ranks, the Dart team that once again are pretty much ever present in the GTPlanet Sportscar Series, or the Endurance Series as it was called in 2015. Great supporters of the series. Good to see them back for another crack at glory, and Lightning Speed Motorsport as well. Excuse me, back for the GT3 AM class. So these 2 teams, Bart, stepping into GT3 machinery that pretty sure they weren't in last year. What do you think the main challenge will be for them in this AM class?
Yeah, as you say, adapting to the new machinery. The GT3 is a bit quicker, but I'd say that with the experience they have, it will be a matter of just car setup. And in a team standpoint of view, they have a good preparation for this season. With the Dart team, they're being one of my personal favorites, standing for a disabled antique racing team, led by Ned, Nail 27, also a WRS regular, and a good person to be leading that team. And Lightning Speed Motorsport, of course, also being very quick in GT4 in their Nissan, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, well, it will be good to see what they can do in GT3.
Excellent stuff. So there we go on Dart and Lightning Speed Motorsport. Do keep your comments coming in. See Demon Snake preferring defensive cannons, as always, good to see. So moving on to the 3rd and 4th teams in GT3 AM. Do you know what? I'm already liking the team name for this. Storage Trunks SRT Racing Team. I don't know, there's just something about that I like. But a new team for the Sports Car Series. Welcome, guys. Great to have you on board. And another new team name for the Sports Car Series in 2016. Tarmac Overdose Racing. Not going to lie, Bart, don't know too much about these teams myself. New names in the series for and 2016. Got any information about these 2 teams?
Yeah, I believe that the Storage Trunk SRT team, they have experience with running racing leagues. I don't know if they are managed by the thread poster, Stephen Vaughn, but I've been having a look at their threads. They have quality racings and quality racers in them. So yeah, well, they will probably adapt just fine. Tarmac Overdose, I'm not quite sure. Not really a known name, but I see Cobra 75 is the team owner of that team.
Good stuff. You'll have to help me here, Bart, because my computer's just decided on a brilliant point to jam up. But the first team with full sponsorship, is that the Storage Trunks team? Am I right?
Yeah, that's just communicated here by AJ. They have a full sponsorship. Yeah, apparently they will of course be helped by that. They have been running their racing series with a limited of prizes. So yeah, interesting to see what they can do in this series.
Very, very interesting development for the series. Good news, my computer has stopped having an OAP moment and it's back up and running now. So let's wrap up the lineup for GT3 AM. Team Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective, so their second full season entry for the series. They'll see them, judging by how confident Andrew Harby's been with the two other teams, I think he'll be pretty confident that the AM team could have a good stab at the championship battle for 2016. Venator Racing, good to see them back. I think I'm right in saying they ran the BMW Z4 in races last year and developed well throughout the season. And WRS North America, so we saw these guys run in GT3, and the key thing I always remember about them was that, yes, they didn't have the ultimate pace. I think they'd be the first to admit that, and there's no shame in that at all, because they were very, very steady. They were fantastic at keeping that Audi R8 on the track and picking up when people fell off the road. Being in that AM class, where that's going to be a really, really important thing, do you think they could be a bit of a dark horse in that GT3 AM class?
Yeah, maybe, because it's always been a team that has maybe been underestimated by other teams. But they, as you say, they have made, I think, maybe the least mistakes in the racing of the GT3 teams. I may offend some people by saying that, but I believe they do. They have been running very steady paces. And have been getting some sneaky results almost. If you weren't expecting, and the few of the front runners were having some problems, they were always there. So in the M class, that could be their advantage.
Good stuff. Bart, I believe we've got to say goodbye to you.
Yeah, definitely early rise tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to head off. It's been good fun talking to you guys again, and thank you for having me.
Not a problem. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for your time.
All right, see you guys.
So there goes Bart of Avaleron Racing, and one of the key players in the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. Mr. Harby, I believe you're back in the Skype call with me.
I am indeed. So
then, on a scale of 1 to very confident, how are you feeling about GT3 AM?
We're feeling fairly confident. So it means we're going to have an invitation on a full-time entry at Daytona and 2 full-time entries at the Nürburgring 6 hour. But again, with our strategies, we can work around it, we can plan for it. And I'm sure that we'll come out fighting as normal.
Excellent stuff. So GT3 AM then, just to rerun through the 7 teams competing. It's the same cars, of course, that we mentioned in GT3 Pro, but Dart, Lightning Speed Motorsport, Storage Trunks SRT, Tarmac Overdose Racing, Midweek Motorsport Racers Collective, Venator Racing, and WRS North America. They are your 7 franchises in GT3 AM. So moving forward, 2 classes to go. We'll keep this going, guys. Not long now. Let's move on to, I believe, GT500. So one of my favourite classes from 2015. Here we go then. So First up, 3 entries in GT500. ABC Racing, one of the teams that did a good amount of the BOP work. In fact, all 3 of these teams did a good amount of the BOP work, as we've all seen them in other classes. So ABC Racing, the first team in GT500. Bitter Rivals Racing, so a very, very strong team with a lot of GT car experience. Of course, we've already mentioned them in GT3 Pro. They'll be there in GT500. And the Danger Zone Motorsport team, their second entry, first of a full season entry. Remember, those DP and LMGT classes are invitational only for the Daytona 24 hours. So DZ Motorsport with their first full season entry. And going forward, ABC Racing then, Andrew, it's good to see them taking on GT500 as well. And how do you reckon they could balance that? Because there are 2 big classes there. They've got GT3 Pro, they've got GT500. What's going to be the best way for them managing that?
Well, that's what they're going to have to work out. But I reckon, obviously, we know they're a very, very strong squad. To be honest, I'm sure they'll manage absolutely fine. I can't see a reason why they can't be fighting for the title. But then that's the same could be said of Bitter Rivals and DZ Motorsport. Mm. So I think it's going to be another one of those classes where every single tenth of a second counts, which is exactly what we want. Really, really close racing.
Absolutely. So moving on to teams 4 and 5. eScuderia GTMX, their first full season entry, and also a first full season entry for Inferno Racing as well. So some of the teams that we've seen here already in the Daytona prototype class. eScuderia GTMX ran the Lexus SC430 when they got it going. That was a really, really quick piece of kit from the Mexican squad. Inferno Racing as well on their day, a very, very fast team. So this is making up, once again, very similar to GT3 Pro. We've already said GT3 Pro is going to be a real battle of the Titans. I think we're seeing the same here with GT500. Out of those 5, I know we've still got another 2 to go. Who would you say of those initial 5 would be favourites going into the season?
Oh, Inferno did rather well last season. I reckon DZ Motorsport got some good drivers, but it's still need to be tested. So I reckon they'll come out as, I reckon, DZ Motorsport.
Good stuff. I think we'll have Brian rejoining us in a moment, so we'll await for him to join. So 2 more spots then in GT500. So ABC, Bitter Rivals, DZ, eScuderia, Inferno Racing, the 5 so far. We'll just wait for the 6th and 7th cars to join that list.
Can we get a drum roll?
Do keep your comments coming in, guys. Good to see so many of you still with us here for this special announcement of the 2016 franchises who will be taking part in the GTPlanet Sportscar Series. Here we go then, the final 2, and it's the same final 2 that we saw in GT3 Pro. So Teamwise Racing, we've mentioned them a fair few times tonight already. Very, very strong team in GT machinery. Also ran one of the Lexus SC430s last year. And TNR, Top Notch Racing, good to see them back. Trying to remember if they ran in a GT500, one of the Super GT style classes last year. I'm sure someone will give me the information.
I don't think TNR did, but I'm sure they'll do exactly the same in GT3 Pro. And
yeah, very, very strong team.
Yeah, very, very strong team.
So once again, another fantastic class to whet our appetites for 2016. ABC Racing, Bitter Rivals Racing, Danger Zone Motorsports, eScuderia GTMX, Inferno Racing, Teamwise Racing, and Top Notch Racing are your 7 teams for GT500. Brian, can you hear us? Are you back in the call?
Yes, I am.
Good to have you back. Well then, that GT500 field, that's quite something, isn't it?
It is. It looks exactly like GT3 Pro. I think it's Going to be another fantastic class to watch and to race, and I'm really, really happy we got that. That's definitely, I think, my favorite class to drive in and to race in. It's just, I'm really, really happy about that.
Good stuff. Any particular car that you would like to pick up?
I think all of them are really good. If I had to choose one, it probably would be that GTR. It's always been my favorite Super GT car to use, and yeah, I probably would say it'd be that. But I think I'd be happy with any of them, to be honest.
And the qualifying situation for GT500, you've just seen it bit filing through here from AJ. 6 out of 7 teams at Fuji, all 7 at Suzuka. So in that respect, this one's probably quite a good one for getting a good amount of points going, not just for the championship, but for the lower positions as well. There's only going to be the one team that misses out in one of those races. So consistency is going to be the key in this one, isn't it? And getting yourself up towards the front of the races early on. I think we've got Chris back with us. Chris, can you hear us?
Yeah, as long as my internet holds up.
Good stuff. So TNR in GT500 as well. New class for yourselves, I believe. Have you picked up on what you think will be the main challenges, the main differences to the GT3 racing that you guys have done already?
Obviously, different car, a lot faster, more downforce. Looks like it's going to be. I wasn't able to see what teams are in the class, but I'm having a look right now. It looks like some of the same teams as GT3. So there'll probably be some close battles again.
Mm-hmm. And the tracks in Japan that will go to Fuji and Suzuka, quite different in my opinion. Obviously, the Suzuka being a much more handling dependent circuit in terms of you've got the very fast S's, you've got corners like Spoon and 130R where you need a really, really solid base underneath you, whereas Fuji is really dictated by what you're doing down the main straight. How will you guys approach that challenge when setting up the car for 2016?
It depends how we feel about it. If we want to set up the car towards being able to pass others going down the straightaway at Fuji, or if we just want to have a good pace around the whole track in general, be good in every sector.
Good stuff. So just to run through those GT500 teams again, it's going to be ABC Racing, Bitter Rivals Racing, Danger Zone Motorsports, eScuderia GTMX, Inferno Racing, Teamwise Racing, and Top Notch Racing is your 7-car field for the 2016 GTPlanet Sportscar Series GT500 class. Got to say goodbye to Brian, Andrew Harvey, and Chris Pfeffer. Thank you, guys. Thank you for your contributions throughout the evening. It's been great talking to you, and once again, good luck to your respective teams in the year to come.
Thank you. I also like to say a quick thanks to Stig's TC from us for helping out with the bot process. I know he did put a lot of time and effort in, so I just want him to know he's been recognised.
Absolutely fantastic effort by Adrian this year. So just one more class to go then, GT300, and it's just me all by my own now in the virtual studio. So let's move on to GT300. As I say that, I think Kevin might be rejoining me in the commentary box. We'll just wait for him to arrive. So just to recap then, as we're waiting for Kevin and the final class to come up, the franchises and the classes that we've announced tonight, the DP and LMGT classes are invitational only classes for the Daytona 24 hours. All the other entries that you see are full season entries, and we will announce the further classes involved in the Le Mans style prototype classes later towards the new year, so do keep an eye out for those as we confirm what's going on with those classes. Moving on then to GT300, as I think Kevin's back with me.
Yes,
Kevin, can you hear me?
I am.
Fantastic. Great to have you back. So let's move on then to GT300, the final class that we're going to announce tonight. And the first two teams on the entry list of 6, HRSC Racing, another new team in the Sportscar Series for 2016. Welcome, guys. Great to have you on board. And another one of our familiar names returning to the series. Their second team, I'm just going to correct myself, it's their first full entry, and 2 entries if you include their invitational in LMGT, or a racing team taking part for the full season in GT300. HRSC Racing will be run by Harsk 100, so we've got to wish him luck. So we'll start with Harsk 100's team, Kevin. New team in for the series. GT300's their franchise class. How do you think they'll do in 2016?
Yeah, it's real difficult for me to say anything about that really, because last year the GT300s kind of slipped under the radar for me. But I have to say the name Harsk does ring a bell. I think lastly the last time I saw him was in the WRS on the Nordschleife. I remember he was pretty quick, as are the guys in the Aura Racing team, which we know have some experience from last year. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how those stack up to each other. I also will be driving in Harsk's team. So yeah, will it be a one-show pony, or yeah? Really curious about what will happen. So if we look at the other classes, they're really close, really action packed. If I look at the teams, there's yeah, it's almost hard to not get excited about the lineup. So I'm really curious about the next names that will pop up in GT300.
Absolutely. Il Conte Sky punting for Harsk for the Drivers' Championship for 2016. So some good support there for Harsk in his entry and his team's entry into GT300. So moving on to those third and fourth teams in GT300. Swift Autosport. Just looking to remind myself, no, that's another team that's got its first full season entry, in this case in the GT300 class. So good to see them, that they're going to be with us for the whole of 2016. And another new team, the Humble Guys, will join the GTPlanet ranks.
Well, will they stay humble?
Well, we'll have to see throughout the season if they can start winning some races. It'll be interesting to see if they'll big themselves up. So welcome, guys. If there's any of the Humble Guys listening on the stream or watching the stream, great to have you on board. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the first race in 2016. THG TSO 40, I believe, is the team manager of that team. So Swift Autosport, we saw them at various times in the Endurance Series in 2015, Kevin.
Yes, correct.
They're probably between them and Aura at the moment, not knowing which teams are going to be 5 and 6. Do you reckon that's going to be where the championship battle will lie?
I think it's easy to get tempted to bet your money on the teams you know, because they've got experience with last year. But still, I reckon there's a lot of drivers who are looking for a seat, and I don't think we can rule the new teams out that easily. I think a lot of them know what the series is and know how the regulations are. So it's quite tricky to bet on the known teams straight away. So yeah, I think that that saying goes for every class. In every class there's a new team. It's always hard to say how they're gonna behave, how they're gonna do. I think we'll have to see what they're capable on track. So for now, it's for me it's seeing which teams do we know and how do they stack up, and then there's the whole unknown of the new teams, which make it pretty exciting, I have to say.
Yep, couldn't agree more. And of course, a long period of testing that all of these teams will do before the first race. So I've no doubt that all the teams in whatever class they're competing in will be up to speed before the first race. So that's 4 out of 6. We'll just wait for teams 5 and 6 to pop up on the screen to wrap out the announcement for the franchises this evening. Here we go then. So the Turtle Racing League take their second full season entry. So of course they're one of the teams that did a lot of work with the balance of performance efforts and testing with AJ in the last few weeks since the end of the 2015 season. And the VEC Racing team as well, their full season entry will be in GT300. So we'll start with Turtle Racing League, and new team in I nearly call it the Endurance Series again. I'm going to have to restrain myself from doing that for the whole of 2016. So Turtle Racing League, new team in the Sportscar Series at least, but very experienced as well. And as we said, we can't just go by the guys who've been in it before. I think even as a new team, you could throw them into the mix as being one of the teams to watch in that class. Have you any experience of racing their guys in the past?
I've seen a lot of Turtle Racing League. Also, VSC Racing has not gone unnoticed. Yeah, we'll have to see. We've got four teams with an outfit we saw last year. So yeah, we can discuss about how they will stack up to each other. And still, we've got 2 outfits on which we know very little about. So, but I reckon the both of the lastly added teams will be able to handle the competition of the other known teams. So, yeah, it's real difficult to see what the capabilities are of a team just on their team name. Of course, we also know a lot of teams because of last year, but will their driver lineup be the same, for example? These are all uncertainties which we don't know at this point, and which we can discuss. But really, we can only judge at the moment we see them on track.
Absolutely. I believe Jordan Fisher is back in the call with us. Jordan, can you hear us?
Yep, gotcha.
GT300 then. So the last class that we're looking at this evening. What are your thoughts on that field? Quite a good mix there of new teams versus current teams, but undoubtedly some very, very quick guys in all of those teams. What are your early thoughts on that lineup?
I think the lineup is, it's like I said, really mixed out, and we're really excited to try that out. It came as a surprise, as we did not expect to get a GT300 car for this year, but now that we got it, I think we're definitely up to the challenge.
Is there any particular GT300 car that you'd like to see your team in for next year?
Well, that's just a matter up to myself and the team to decide on that. But if I had to choose one, I think I'd probably go with the Subaru.
Okay, then. So there we go. Kevin, VW Cup. What are your thoughts on that going into next year? Because of course we've got those 3 VW Cup events for next year as well.
Yeah, I think they're a nice add-on. It's how I started last year in support races, and I remember having a real good time around the Bathurst track until a big pile up just after the top of the mountain. But let's not discuss that further. But yeah, I think these yeah, I don't know if I can call them support races, but these races, yeah, of course, these are longer, but yeah, it will be interesting. I'm really curious about how they will be filled in. Is everybody running the same car, an example, or are there multiple classes? And what's to it? I really like to know more about that.
Good stuff.
So, what are your thoughts about that VW Cup?
The VW Cup, I think it's going to be a lot. Well, as it says on the tin, it's going to be a lot of fun. I think the even nature that you're going to get. I know discussing about it with AJ, tactics are going to be important. I think it's going to be your classic endurance race where the team that keeps their car out of the pits the longest is going to win, because how you manage the tires, how you manage the fuel is going to be a polar opposite to what you see normally in the endurance series, where you're going to be taking wear and fatigue on the car into account. It's more going to be fatigue on the drivers, because to win, I reckon drivers are going to need to run really long stints, and keep your driver changes to a minimum. So there we go. I think
seems like you know more about that than I do. But yeah, like I said, I'm really curious about how that gets filled in.
We're going to have to say goodbye to Jordan. Jordan, thank you for your contributions tonight. It's been great talking to you. Best of luck for 2016. I'm sure we'll see great things from your teams in the coming year.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks.
So there goes Jordan.
All right.
I think we've got one more guest before we wrap up this evening. Just waiting for David, also known as Fallen Log, who was the SSR team manager last year, and he's going to be this year's Endurance Experience team manager. We're just going to wait for him to join the call. So yeah, those 3 Fun Cup events all culminating in the 25 hours of Spa next year. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for maybe some drivers who haven't raced in this. See, there we go. That's 3 times tonight that I've nearly done it. The Sportscar Series. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for drivers to come in, sample a bit of what the Sportscar Series and endurance style of racing is like. And
yeah, sure.
Yeah.
It's always good to have an inflow of new drivers. It's the more the merrier, I guess. But then again, I'm onto a conspiracy here, I guess, because GTPlanet Endurance Series, Sportscar Series, GT Sports. What would happen?
Well, it's news to be honest. I don't fully know what's going on. AJ does keep some things from me, but we will know.
Yeah, before we get the wildest speculations, I'm just speculating myself as well. So I don't know.
There's nothing wrong with a bit of speculation. It keeps,
but just one
excited.
thing that came to my mind.
Good stuff. So I think we can speak to David Fuller now. David, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Evening, David. Great to have you with us. So for guys who don't know, you're taking on the running of the Endurance Experience team for the coming year, and I'm just going to check that I'm not getting it wrong again. That's one of the teams that we've got in TCN1. Am I correct?
Yes. That is correct.
So Endurance Experience, for those of us who aren't aware of what the mantra of the team is, what is going to be what's going to be the plan for Endurance Experience in 2016?
Well, as far as I understand, AJ's got the karting series that he's going to be bringing drivers into, and I'm going to be coaching and mentoring them into the Endurance Experience team and bringing them into the World GTP Endurance Series. Sorry.
Sportscar Series. You will go again.
That sounds like fantastic stuff because for the guys who maybe haven't watched the karting series this year, myself and Tom Brooks have had an absolute ball, and I'm not over exaggerating here. It has been so much fun commentating on that series the last few months, and do tune in when the final episodes of that come out over the Christmas period, because there's no other word for it. Some of the racing in that series is mental. But it's a good mental. It's just been so close and so competitive, but some real talent in that karting series with their racecraft. So how have you seen much of what the guys in the karting series have done, David? Are you excited about some of the talent that's coming through?
I'm excited to see the talent that's coming through. I haven't actually been able to catch much of the karting series. When I was managing SSR Motorsports, it was more of a full-time job with those guys, so I wasn't able to really manage the karting or watch the karting series that much. So, I'm excited to see the karting series finale, to see how how the competition stacks up in there, and we'll see how it goes next year when I get my list of drivers I'm going to be coaching. So.
Sure thing. So the karting series finale will be broadcast on Christmas Day, so you can watch that here on the GTPlanet YouTube channel. And I know it's Christmas Day, and I know there's lots to do and lots of excitement and maybe family commitments as well. But if you do get a chance, whether on the day or in the days after, do watch the broadcast of the final from Brands Hatch, because some of the racing in it is absolutely fantastic. Me and Tom nearly passed out several times commentating on it back with AJ about a week or so ago, and it is an absolutely brilliant way to wrap out 2015 for all the GT Planet racing series that we've been able to bring to you this year. David, it sounds absolutely fantastic and a fantastic prospect for yourself and the drivers in the Endurance Experience team. The TCN1 rear-wheel drive touring car class. Best of luck to you, and I'm sure we'll hear from you across the year. And get cracking with training those drivers up for a bit of endurance racing.
Of course, I will. Thank you very much.
Good luck, David.
Thanks,
Thank
David.
you.
Absolutely fantastic. So here you go then. A final little quick run through of the confirmed events for the Sports Car Series for 2016. Just a reminder, if you hadn't heard already, maybe you've joined the broadcast a little bit late. The Le Mans style, WEC, ELMS, however you want to call them, those style events with the P1s and the P2s are on hold for now. We've got a plan together of how we're going to bring those in. We'll announce that in due course. But for now, here are the confirmed events for the GTPlanet Sportscar Series for 2016. Round 1 on the 16th to the 17th of January will be the London 12-hour VW Fun Cup race around the Indy circuit layout of Brands Hatch. Then it's to Daytona for the first of our 24-hour races around the sports car course for the 24 hours of Daytona, with the DP and LMGT invitational classes and the GTD/GT3 AM class competing for championship points. It's then off to Japan and the Fuji Speedway for the GT 500 kilometers on the 13th of February, the GT 500 and GT 300 classes running in that one. Before we pop down to Down Under for 2 races around Bathurst. The first on the 12th to the 21st of September, the 12-hour, and then the 6-hour on the 19th to the 20th of March. Then it's off to the Nordschleife and the combined circuit for the 24 hours of the Nürburgring, one of the highlights of the year. A lot of people looking forward to that one. That'll be on the 13th through 22nd of May, that event. And then it's to Silverstone, just down the road from me. 2 races on the weekend of the 10th to the 12th of June. The 6-hour Fun Cup race, and then the 10-hour TCN1 and TCN2 race. Before we head off to Spa, to the Ardennes Forest for the 24 hours of Spa, with the GT3 classes running on that one. before we return to Japan again in mid-August for the 1,000 kilometers of Suzuka. Then it's back to the Nürburgring for the VLN 6-hour race on the 10th to the 11th of September before we wrap up the season with another VW Fun Cup race the weekend of the 8th and 9th of October with the 25 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. So there you go. That's the races that we've announced. You can go and view the franchises that we've announced tonight as well, either back further in this stream or up on the website www.gtplanet.net. Do keep your eyes on Twitter. If you haven't done so already, you can follow at GTPlanet News and at GTP_AJ for all the latest related news to the GT Planet see that fourth nearly again GTPlanet Sportscar Series. I think that's going to be my tricky bit for the whole season.
It's going to cost you a whole lot of money.
Oh yeah, that's already 40 quid in the pot. So the GTPlanet Sportscar Series, all the latest news. Do follow AJ on Twitter, and I think all that leaves me to do is say thanks to you, Kevin, and everybody who's joined me
as well
for the broadcast this evening. It's been almost 2 hours that we've been here. There are your teams for 2016, with more to be announced towards Christmas and over the new year. Do keep it tuned here at the GT Planet YouTube series. My name's been Andrew Mather. I'll just give a chance for Kevin to say, yep, Kevin.
I want to wish you all a good night, and I hope to see you next time.
Good stuff. So my name's been Andrew Mather. I've been your host for this evening's announcement of the 2016 franchises. To everyone, have a very, very good Christmas and a very good New Year as well. We'll see you in the new year for more racing here on the GT Planet Sportscar Series. I can't wait. All the guys who've been in the studio this evening can't wait as well. It's going to be a fantastic season, and we will see you all very, very soon at Brands Hatch for the first race of the season. Until then, take care, God bless, and goodbye.